Chat Man Friday,
a podcast for Maine in North and West Melbourne. Chatman Friday. Hello, welcome to another episode of Chatman Friday. Myself, Syed, with Ian hosting this episode, and my colleague Ian will tell us today who is our guest today.
Thank you, Syed. Another wonderful session today. So we've got Leyton with us today. And Leyton is an LGBTIQ community member, a passionate Carlton Football Club supporter. I'm a St Kilda fan, so we're already at odds, but that's okay. And had quite a bit to do with the Melbourne City Council initiative to end homelessness. So, Leyton, you're a local person in the area. What brought you to this part of Melbourne?
what brought me to this part of Melbourne is I was living in Swanston Street with my best friend of 10 years. And my mum ended up with lung cancer during COVID. And my mum passed and I had to be moving house. And I got into Common Ground. So I got in touch with Launch Housing. And I got to say a huge thank you to Launch for everything that they have done and the support that they have given me throughout the years of being under the roof of Common Ground. I'm very grateful. I was also involved in a project to end homelessness by 2030 and be one of the major cities in Melbourne to have done so.
Well, that's exciting.
Yes, so how they're doing that is buildings are going to be knocked down and rebuilt. And they're just more of relocating people into housing. Like they put me in a house, got me into housing so I wasn't on the streets and kind of... so instead of paying top dollar rent, it's for low income earners, and my rent gets deducted out of my pay that I get from Centrelink. So my rent's always covered and I've got a roof over my head.
Oh, that's amazing. So how did you first get involved with this project?
I was got in touch with Launch Housing, and Launch Housing did all the footwork of trying to find a place that was available. And, Launch Housing work with Unison, and that's how we're trying to have no homelessness in by 2030.
Great, an amazing aspiration. So this week is actually National Homeless Week, so it's quite topical for us as well. So can you talk about what it means to be homeless in North and West Melbourne? What are the kind of barriers and the main issues you would face?
I find that within the city that I've noticed when it comes to homelessness, there's a lot more people in the cities than in suburbia areas, whether it's less space for them to go. I just really hope that they're able to find a place. Like some people don't mind being homeless, that they prefer to live on the streets, and I'd like to get the support of those people to actually want to be in a house so we can achieve the goal for 2030.
Right, and how do you think you might get their support, given they're on the street and it's hard to connect with them? What strategy might you have in mind to attract them to the project?
Just talking to them individually and picking their brains.
Yeah.
I go to Hole in the Wall in the city, and that's where they feed the homeless. So I go there on a regular basis, and I tend to talk to people that don't have a home, of where that they would like to be at. And I can always refer Launch Housing to them. They won't get a house straight away, but Launch will work with them to make sure that they're homed at some point.
Okay.
Yeah, Leyton, it's a very good initiative to end homelessness by 2030. We appreciate that. That's a very good initiative. What do you think how the resident can help you with this initiative, or the communities can help with this initiative?
I think just getting together and word of mouth and putting it out there that there are houses, that there are places available, and you don't have to worry about if you won't have trouble paying rent, and it can just be deducted out of your payment of what you may receive from the government. So there are ways for that to help as well with getting to the goal by 2030.
Amazing.
I think let's have a short break here.
Yeah, sure.
We need to broadcast some advertising.
Yep.
Yeah, so we will come back shortly in a minute back to this program, and we will continue talking with Leyton later.
Chat Man Friday.
A podcast for Maine in North and West Melbourne. Chatman Friday.
Chatman Friday.
Welcome back, dear listeners, to Chatman Friday. We continue our talks to Leyton. So, yeah, you can ask us in here.
Thank you. So during the break, Leyton and I were talking about his first experience of potential homelessness. It didn't happen, but there was a potential. And if I'm right, you were 16 and a half years old and suddenly faced with having to find accommodation, which is, fraught for anyone, but for a 16 and a half year old, that's quite a challenge. How did that come about and what did you do?
I rang Kids Helpline, and the Kids Helpline gave me a number to call, and I had to travel from, at the time, I believe I was in Fentra Gully, and I had to travel to Box Hill, and I got being meeting by this gentleman who showed me the location of where I was going to stay. Because it was a safe place. So I could only, it's in Little Burnham, but that's as far as I can give with details.
Sure. Yeah.
So no one knew exactly where I was, and for anyone to reach me with the address, they used the office as an address to get in touch with me if anyone was to get in touch with me at that time.
Right. You must have been incredibly resilient to put up with that. Were you still going to school at that time, or did you have a break?
I left school. They didn't accept me to do year 11, so I left school. And then in the process of while I was living in the refuge, when I moved into this house that was that you had an adult looking after teenagers. I got into my first job at 16 and a half.
Okay.
I worked in a pool hall at Q Sports Knox City.
Yes.
And so I pretty much got into work, and I just lived under the roof in Bayswater, and I was there until I met my first long-term partner, and I moved in with him. Mm-hmm. And that's how, that's how I got on my feet from being on the street at a young age.
Right. Okay. Gee, that's an amazing story.
Yeah. How was the health issues or challenges accessing with the health facilities at that time? Tell us a little bit about that.
The health facilities back then was a lot harder because there wasn't as much as resources. We had resources, but there wasn't as much as what there is available today. Like I feel like in the when it comes to what people need and support, that's expanded a hell of a lot bigger than what it was back when I was 16 and a half, and I thank society for that. Like there is definitely help out there, but not everyone wants to make that first initial contact to get help, whether they find it hard within them to make the call. But sometimes, any situation can happen to anyone, and trying to having to have the strength to do it by yourself is a good thing, but also for the support that's out there, it's there to be utilised. they're there to help, and they do care. So
Yeah, and of course, after you got your first job, a lot of things were changed that time.
yeah, once I ended up working and I had value of money, like when you leave home and you've got to do your shopping and
Yeah.
and try and budget what you would budget your money, so watch what you spend, and try to have your food to last 2 weeks as you do a shop.
Yeah.
So that was a bit challenging, thrown into the deep end and learning that by trial and error.
For someone who's just 16, yeah, even now we find it hard.
Yeah.
Can I ask you about being gay as well? Did that have any impact on the level of support? There is not much stigma anymore about being gay, fortunately, but back in those days, did you find any kind of homophobia or resistance?
I did in the refuge. I found that I'd come across all types of people in the refuge, and because some were older than me, some were younger than me. I remember being at a football ground watching the local footy, and there was a guy in the refuge that was with me, and he happened to be chroming at the time, and I wasn't chroming, and we both got kicked out, and I had to let the people know that lived in the refuge what went down. He was kicked out of the refuge. I felt bad for that, but at the same time, there's things that are acceptable in life and not acceptable. So, yeah, and being only 16 and a half, learning things of what you would tell people and what not to tell people. I was quite very open as a 16 and a half. As a teenager, I was quite an open person.
And still on that gay theme, do you think it's even today more difficult for a gay homeless person to find accommodation than someone who's heterosexual, for example, or does it not matter anymore? Past that?
I think there's probably still a bit of a slight issue there, because if it wasn't an issue, then it'd be stamped out completely. But I think what it comes down to people is people don't like asking for help. They feel ashamed of it. They feel like, or they feel like someone else is more deserving of what they do. There's someone in a worse situation, so they're going to need it a lot more than what I do. And I don't think anyone should put themselves in that category, because when you need help and support, seek it.
And we all do at some stage in our lives, don't we? So
Exactly.
It's not a stigma at all. So
Yeah. Okay, let's have another break. So I'm sure it will be a very interesting talk with you, Leyton. So after a break, we'll continue with talking about the men from the LGBT community in North and West Melbourne. Also, you have mentioned about the football. You were watching football that time, and I'm sure you have done a lot of things for supporting and volunteering football clubs too. Then we will talk about that one too. But after the break, we will come back.
Chat Man Friday.
A podcast for men in North and West Melbourne. Chatman Friday.
Chatman Friday.
Welcome back to Chatman Friday. Me, Syed, and Ian, we're all with you and continue some more questions from Leyton.
thank you. And thank you, Leyton, for your contribution thus far. It's been a really interesting conversation. So we're moving on to the idea of being gay in North and West Melbourne generally. And as a gay man, what do you think the key challenges or opportunities, if you want positive spin on it, for gay men in our part of Melbourne?
Well, it's funny you should ask this question, because for me, myself, I've lived in the city now for 2 years, and I don't actually have a pub or a particular club that I would go to. So I ended up just going to different pubs around the city. But I've come across this place called UBQ, and they do karaoke on a Friday
Okay.
night. and it's good just to get out on a Friday night, be in the community, and go to circuit, which is a couple of doors down, or go to the Peel afterwards. So it's all in the vicinity of where there's other clubs. So if you don't like one, you can just go to another one. And yeah.
Yeah, I think going back 20 years, there were gay pubs and clubs that were just for gay people. But it seems to be much more mixed now, but still that need, right, for somewhere to feel comfortable and not challenged. And you mentioned they're all actually in Collingwood, is that right?
Yes.
So is there anything in our own little part of the world in North and West Melbourne that...
I haven't come across anything so far that of a club or that's closer. But yeah.
So that's our next challenge, right? To find one
Yes.
for our part of the world. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Leyton. What do you think, how you can help the member of LGBTQ community at the moment? As you said before, at that time, there was not much facilities for them. So as a person as experience, how you can help the other member at the moment now?
I believe the way that we can help is word of mouth, and just by talking, communication goes goes a long way when it comes to life, and just support people. Like, it doesn't matter what age or what background they've come from. You're still dealing with a human being. They've got feelings, and just having that compassion towards people, I think, is extremely important.
Yeah, you are right. Yeah. So we don't have much time, Ian. So maybe just 5 more minutes to talk about the football club. Let's jump up to the next section about Carlton Football Club. If I can ask the question like that, why Carlton Football Club?
Why Carlton? So my family go back 4 generations of Carlton supporters. My mum's mum, my nan, was Carlton. My mum was Carlton. I'm Carlton, and my nephew's Carlton.
Oh.
And we would make a family outing of it from when I was a kid. I've actually got a finals ticket for when I was 1 year old at the game. Not that I can remember being at the game, but the family used to go to Waverley. And then as the years went on, and as I was living in the city, Mum and I would go to the football, and I would take my nephew Justin. So it's been such a big part of the family, and a tradition that Mum made me promise that I kept on going to the games and support the football, just because Mum's life was ending. Mum still wanted me to have that outlet for me. And I find with the football, it's good with frustrations. If you had a week of really stressed out, just to be able to scream and carry on and just let it out, it's a release.
So you're there every week?
I go most weeks.
Okay.
I go most weeks. There are some games that I do miss, but I have a membership of home and away matches in Melbourne.
Oh, wow. Okay. And you also do some volunteering with the Carlton Football Club as well. What's that about?
It's not what it was with the No Homelessness for 2030. So I was interviewed by ABC. ABC organised me to meet Peter Feeders for the second time, because I've got his name tattooed on my wrist because he shook my hand.
Yes.
So I got to meet him for the second time. And I was given a signed Guernsey, signed jumper from the Carlton Football Club. And it was a really awesome day.
Your mother would be very proud, I'm sure, if she could see that, yes.
Leyton, we're getting closer to the end, so maybe we will ask the final questions. Yeah. One of the questions I was thinking while you're talking, what would be your advice to the other volunteers that are volunteering to the Carlton Football Club or other communities, not only that? What will be your advice for them?
Just do your best at the job that is required of you. Like I did, I used to be a volunteer worker for veterans and their widows. And I was a part of that club for over 10 years in Ringwood. It was good to be able to have something to look forward to, but giving back to the community and putting, it's a selfless act.
Yes, yes, of course. That's also, you feel very proud when you do volunteering with communities. You don't get money, but you get a lot of other things.
But also you build friendships.
Yes,
you get a rapport with people, and like when you catch up on a regular basis and do your group and have your volunteers, that you become connected and part of something that for the greater good.
Yeah, Levin, this is my last question is a very general thing. So what will be the key lessons in your general activities since you started helping communities? Tell us key lessons. What would be those, like point forms? 1, 2, 3, 4. What would be that?
Key lessons. The way you portray yourself in this world goes a long way. Like confidence is a thing that can be worked on, and take yourself out of the comfort zone. Do something you haven't done before, because you can benefit out of it than what you may not expect the outcome to turn out so great than what it has turned out.
Yes. Okay, we are at the end of this show. So, and if you don't have anything to ask, we should close these talks.
Just a brief comment. Leyton, you're an amazing man. You've got so much resilience. You've done so much against sustainable challenges throughout the past 10 years. Amazing work. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Leyton. So, dear listeners, we will be back in our next episode next week with a new guest. And also, do not forget to connect with the North and West Melbourne Community Centre. We have a lot of services here, and please knock the door and you can hear a lot of things from us. Thank you very much for listening, and until next program, I'm saying goodbye to you.
Thank you, and goodbye from Ian.
Thank you.
Chat Man Friday.
A podcast for Maine in North and West Melbourne.
Chat Man Friday.